Welcome to the Short Funk Podcast. I'm Tom Barbalet, and today a film review, Fruitvale Station. When I go to WWDC each year, I typically take Caltrain, and this year I took BART as well. I took Caltrain up to Millbrae, and then BART from Millbrae on. My wife and I travel by BART probably every 6 months, not very frequently. I like Caltrain. I probably travel at roughly 6 months as well. We have different ways that we catch both of them. I'd like to actually use the rail service more in the Bay Area. When I lived here, I used it quite extensively in 2000, 2001. But, as a married man, travelling by BART, travelling by Caltrain, not always done. Fruitvale Station seemed to be a topical film for a couple of reasons. Firstly, I travelled by BART and gotten back to San Jose, having attended WWDC. And BART is an interesting character within Fruitvale Station. BART is the Bay Area Rapid Transit, which is kind of lighter rail than Caltrain, which is like large Amtrak-style trains, but heavier rail than the light rail option, which also services large portions of the South Bay. Fruitvale Station covers a series of circumstances around a fellow who was killed in Fruitvale Station by a police officer. And the acting was better than expected, actually. It's a very low-key, low-impact film, aside from the actual shooting component. And it's really designed to kind of daub a set of characters into your mind and a set of perspectives, which are obviously done posthumously after the fellow is killed, but I think it created a beautiful tapestry of the movement between black and white with a series of greys and purples and a variety of other colours. It was a film that I think emphasised the fact that some police are taught de-escalation and some police naturally enact de-escalation in certain circumstances. But all of the slew of police shootings that we see in the US currently seem to relate to a complete failure to de-escalate. And in fact, circumstances where rather than de-escalating situations, which ultimately, in the long term, I think, would improve police safety as well, the police escalate to a point where, in this case, a fellow was shot accidentally, but in actual circumstances, a series of things went wrong leading into this fellow's murder. I would recommend Fruitvale Station. I think it's a film that has a number of nuances. It is not a Hollywood blockbuster film. It's not a film where you're going to get your standard A-list acting, but it's a very honest film, and it captures, I think, elements of the greater Bay Area, probably, Berkeley, Oakland, that area, certain elements of San Francisco, which I think is actually genuine. And I thoroughly enjoyed Fruitvale Station. I'd just gotten off of BART, come home, was kind of getting over WWDC, but it was a film that I wanted to watch, and it also begs a series of questions associated with what has actually been learnt from these circumstances, and if it's possible, because, the media likes to talk about national dialogues in these kind of circumstances, but if it's possible for police services to learn from what happens in one part of the US, translating it to another part of the US. Like I say, I think de-escalation is a major thing that is not actively talked about in the media because it's far easier to talk about kind of emotive things. But I think it's a technique that if it was used here, probably would have enabled the fellow who was killed to leave without being shot quite comfortably. And also, I don't know, it captured an element that I think is missing in a lot of films associated just with everyday people. And it's one of the things that really frustrates me with Hollywood, is that they eulogize extensive wealth, they eulogize kind of disconnected characters, and this was really a film about humanity, fundamentally, in a very curious way. Anyway, Tom Barbalet in San Jose, signing out.